Oh man, what an exciting chapter of One Piece this week. If the chapters keep coming out this great week after week now is okay. I am excited. Holy shit. Anyway, quickly, the chapter starts off with all the toys, the giant nutcrackers turning back into people. It turns out the reason they're so giant compared to other toys is because it was actually made of 8 people each, which is confusing me because I believe in one chapter, Sugar turned that one guy because he tried to bring her sausages, and out of fear or anger, she turned him into a toy, and he looked exactly like all the nutcrackers, and it was just him. So that's a little confusing, but apparently the nutcrackers that everyone else has been fighting has been 8 people all in one. I'm still confused as to how come not a single one has been hurt, because clearly, some of their heads were chopped off, there were holes blown in them, and other toys, they should have been dead, also if they were attacked in such a way. So who knows? Maybe it's different depending on the contract that Sugar is able to implement on these people. And I like how the Don Quixote family, Gladios, has to reassure his soldiers, like, don't worry guys, we would have turned you all back into humans as soon as the battle was over. But then he's thinking, like, you idiots, we don't even remember you guys when you were toys, so of course we wouldn't remember to turn you back to human. Which is funny. But then this is the majority of the chapter is Luffy and Law versus Don Flamingo, and good God, is it glorious. Of course, we see Bellamy all beat up, crying and wanting to die, just get it over with. He's all this time he's been trying to prove himself to Don Flamingo, and Don Flamingo is just toying with him and just torturing him. It's kind of a sad thing to see. And of course, Luffy is like, I don't know if he thinks of Bellamy as a friend, but he's just like, yeah, he hasn't done anything wrong to me this recent arc, so I'm not gonna hate him. I'm gonna help him. But either way, he's trying to help him. He's trying to tell Don Flamingo to screw himself. And of course, Don Flamingo, being the bastard he is, uses Bellamy as a shield. And then he sends a clone after Law, and then Bellamy after Luffy, using a parasite string. And just Treble back there laughing his head off and being as slow as usual. Again, Treble hasn't really done much to impress me. I mean, yeah, he was the bodyguard of Sugar, and I guess he put up a good fight against Robin and Usopp, but we didn't see it. But yeah, he hasn't done much, really fight-wise to impress me. Unlike Pika and Diamante. Although when you think about it, the abilities of these three, of Treble, Pika, and Diamante, I've actually been very weird. Normally when you look at their abilities, you wouldn't think they're suited for actual combat, but for some reason they're the highest executives in the Don Quixote family. So it's all about how to implement your abilities and helping you succeed in your goals and in combat too. And then I also noticed this one line that Don Flamingo says, where he mentions, if 13 years ago didn't happen, Law would have been the 3rd Corazon. So now it's just a question of who's the first, because we remember Don Flamingo's brother was supposedly was Corazon before Law was supposed to be. So does that mean there was someone before Don Flamingo's brother, or before Corazon? If so, that's kind of weird. I mean, who would it be? You would usually think that his brother would be the one who's been with him the longest, who's actually been there for him all the time and would earn that seat, of his right hand, of the Corazon seat. Or maybe Corazon was the first, and then there was a second before Law, and he mysteriously disappeared sometime and the 10 years Law abandoned the Don Quixote pirate family and just left. But it's interesting. So there's a 3rd Corazon out there somewhere. So I'm wondering who it was and exactly what part did he play in the family, if he got killed by Don Flamingo for disappointing him or not. But either way, the majority of this chapter that impressed me was finally Law and Luffy getting down to business and attacking Doflamingo. And Doflamingo's still laughing and sitting in his chair. But then I like how Law and Luffy start arguing. And immediately when I'm reading these lines, I'm like, if I was Doflamingo, I would immediately know what they're up to, because they are horrible acting. Because why would you say, what about our secret plan? Aren't you going to stick to it? Why would you say secret plan? It's just pretty much saying, dude, we're gonna find a way to trick Doflamingo. Yeah, Doflamingo, watch out for that. We're gonna trick you. Really though, that was horrible acting. These guys are not actors. They're more for fighting. And that's fine. That's fine. That's what they need to be. Good fighters to take down Doflamingo, but actors they are not. But it still found a way to trick Doflamingo. Luffy's about to attack Law with the Red Hawk, but then Law uses Rune to switch him and Doflamingo's place. And Doflamingo finally, for the first time ever, I believe, gets injured. I mean, I'm trying to remember if there was any other time where he's actually been injured. I don't think so. I mean, he was frozen by Aokiji, but I mean, like, nothing seriously that actually made him stop and pause to think, shit, I might lose, or he made him bleed. No, but this time there was no illusion, there was no clone. It was a straight Red Hawk to the gut. And he's bleeding through the mouth now. And Law just sitting there in his chair looking up at Trouble like, we tricked you. We tricked you good. And then he uses his move to, I guess, cut up the staff Trouble always carrying, and maybe cut him up a little bit too. So again, I don't know what Trouble's role in this all is. Maybe he's going to fight Law, or maybe this is all going to just own him and just maybe teleport him outside the room. Who knows? But for now, that doesn't matter, because I'm just so happy. Doflamingo finally gets hit for the first time, and since he was introduced. He's bleeding now, and who knows if he's going to start taking this seriously and becoming more and more frustrated. Like he said, I'm so angry, I'm past anger. I'm just laughing my ass off because I can't wait to kill all of you. That's probably what he means. He's laughing at how much he's gonna torture and completely obliterate the Straw Hats for how much they've angered him. And that's pretty scary to an extent, but goddamn, that Red Hawk to the gut. Finally. Goddamn, finally. Doflamingo, his life is threatened. Get serious, Doflamingo. You're up against Law and Luffy now. Maybe it was a lucky hit, but still, that lucky hit was so satisfying. After all the time we've been watching Doflamingo laughing his ass off, it is so good to see him in pain and finally bleeding like any of the other villains Luffy has fought. Oh man, this was a great chapter. A great follow-up to last week's with Usopp being just amazing, and now showing Law and Luffy being amazing, and finally getting that hit in on Doflamingo. Oh man, I'm seriously considering thinking flashback has got to come soon. Law and Doflamingo in the same room, and they have a history. They're talking about 13 years ago and the third Corazon. The flashback has to be coming soon, but I wouldn't be mad if next week is more of just Doflamingo versus Law and Luffy, and they get a couple more hits in on Doflamingo, or Doflamingo gets a couple hits in on Law and Luffy. I just want some kind of brawl right now. That's how excited I am. Seeing Doflamingo's blood has made me bloodthirsty. I know, but oh, it's so fantastic. It is beautiful. It really is. So anyway, I'm excited for next week's chapter. I can't wait. So until then, I'm Tony Dragon. Bye bye.